Hey guys, so this is my latest Soundbag tour. I think I recently did a Soundbag tour, but there's been something pretty significant that you can see here that I wanted to talk about in regards to what I'll call a custom dashboard. So I'm going to be going over the components inside of the Soundbag today, talking about the choices I made and what I have going on here, and then dig into the details of, the custom dashboard and components, which you can actually find in the link in this video here. But let's talk about it first, right after this message, and I'll see you in just a second.
The key to a great sounding lav is 10% placement and 90% process.
Typically, I'll do a script breakdown on my iPad. Ingenuity and flexibility really are the keys here because we have the same goal, capturing the performance.
It is this process here that inspired us to create Wire Like the Pros, a masterclass for students and professionals who have the desire to excel and go beyond just the wiring technique and tools.
Let's talk about working with the actors.
So I invite you to come over now and enroll into Wire Like the Pros at mwsound.net.
Hey guys, welcome and thanks for tuning in. And today I'm giving you a tour of my sound bag. Like, this is my primary bag. Earlier today you might have attended the live stream for my backup bag, but this one right here is the primary, and that's what we're going to be talking about. One of the first things I'll say right out of the gate is the goal for me is to be as light as possible. I know I'm not alone when it comes to that. So when I thought about the design of this and the workflow, I knew I was going to be using a harness, and I didn't want something that I couldn't carry around all day comfortably. So what you see here, I'll go over the basic components and kind of what's happening inside of this bag, and then dig into what's probably unique that maybe you haven't seen before, which is the custom dashboard here, and talk a little bit about what I have going on here and how I made it all work and all that kind of detail. And I even brought along a little light just in case. I know it's tricky here with these exposures. We need to kind of get into any detail, so we'll be doing that. So right off the bat, I just wanted to say thank you those who tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so you can get notified about future videos like these that are custom tailored for sound professionals and production mixers. And if you're just kind of starting out and learning, and this is a great channel for that resource, so go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, you'll notice here that I have a mount, and this particular one not only orients the phone horizontally, like you see, but I can also change it to be a vertical orientation like so. And the phone is mounted a little low to do the vertical orientation, so let me go ahead and just change that a little bit. So I can actually work in both positions pretty easily, especially if you're trying to type and so forth. And this particular one is made by SmallRig, is the company. And if you're not familiar with SmallRig, they make really nice, affordable rigging stuff. And this particular mount here uses a 1/4-20 thread, but it locks on it. So it stays pretty tight. So if I was to loosen it here, you see how it gets loose. If I tighten it in this area, that thing goes nowhere, and I have full articulation. And I knew I needed something that was going to be super sturdy on that level. And let me bring in the light here. Another thing that's happening here is that you see here that there is a 15mm carbon fiber, 12-inch long camera rod. And this particular one is made out of carbon fiber, like I mentioned, and it is extremely lightweight. And you'll notice that there are three particular 1/4-20 mounting brackets. one here, which is attaching to the Soundbag. This is the K-Tech Junior X, which has a 1/4 20 mount on this side, and then one here on this side. And the idea was I wanted, rigging. We didn't invent rigging as sound people, but I wanted to be able to rig things on this bag that you would see even on a camera. So there's a lot of accessories available for this sort of thing, depending upon how you want to work. So this is a really component. This particular thing here, you'll notice, leaves just a little bit of room. I've got this Deity SPD Mini powering this bag here, which is a very thin BDS, so it fits right behind the carbon fiber rod, which I'm using as my dashboard. And then here we have, of course, the ComTech. And notice that this has a red tip because this is the new base-loaded antenna. Basically, to explain that, what a base-loaded antenna is, if you're not familiar with that, is a whip. The helical whip is an omnidirectional whip on the ComTech transmit antenna. But they basically did a redesign and made it what's called base-loaded, which puts more of the windings closer to the bottom of the ComTech, which makes this a lot less prone to noise and so forth as it moved around. So when I saw this come out, I'm like, this is super cool. So you can check that out on ComTech, their website, and get details on that. Some other components inside of this bag, as you can see is I have a DSR4. But inside of here is the I know it's hard to see, the XLAES, if I'm saying that right. Because what I wanted to do, particularly with this bag, is I didn't want to have to plug in the cables from the DSR4 into the side of the bag, because I wanted those to stay available for other inputs. So the only inputs that I'm using on the left side of the bag are for a hardwired boom, and I wanted to have those available and less clutter and less weight, so that really accomplishes a lot. So we're going AES out of the 4 channels here of the DSR4 into the XL AES, so we've got 4 channels of wireless, which covers, for a small bag workflow like this, 99% of everything I need. Moving right along, we've covered the dashboard. We have the Deity SPD Mini, which we talked about. This is a great power supply that Deity has, and I really like the small profile form factor. It does have a USB-C power output. However, one thing to note about this particular power supply is that it will trickle charge your phone, but not charge your phone. But that's okay. I'm pretty good about charging my phone, and then as long as I keep it plugged in, it can charge here. And notice how I just kind of, with the slack here, I just tucked it in here. I also have this K-Tech loop, this little clip coming in one of the Moffett, I forget, I think it's called Moffett mounts. Help me out if I don't know what it's called. These little bands that you can hook things into. And then I've just got my coiled cable here going into the bag here for the hardwired boom. What else is going on here? I wanted to keep things as basic as possible with this particular unit. So let's look at each side. So before I do something silly, I just want to make sure I can actually get this on the side so we can see what's going on here. I will say I recently, if you know me and you know this channel, you know I'm a 7506 guy, but I recently started using these HD25s that were sent to me by Sennheiser, and holy moly, I like these way better. It has way more isolation than the 7506 is, so I can actually feel like I'm hearing things a lot better, so I'm pretty stoked on that. Moving right along here, I'm going to go open up the side here of the bag so you can see what's going on the input side. And let's see if we can open this up. I'm trying not to bump the microphone. I'll give you a little bit of light so you can see. There it is. As you can see here, I'm basically into channel 1 of the boom. The hardwired boom, and then I've got my headphone, obviously the right angle, which is very convenient on the HD25s by Sennheiser. But I'm not having to plug in the DSR4 here, because underneath here you can see the XL AES, which gives you, by the way, 8 AES inputs. I'm only utilizing 4 since I have one DSR4 in here, but just really keeps everything clean and makes it a lot easier for me to utilize these other inputs in other ways. Inside the sound bag here, I'll show you where I keep my battery so you know where that is. Let's go ahead and close this up. I don't have much in here right now because I like to keep things very uncluttered. If I'm doing a job of some sort, I'll need to put some GAC in here. But here's my 98 watt hour battery. With the 833 and DSR4, I'm probably getting anywhere from like, I don't know, 4.5, 5 hours, something like that. And I got enough room in that side pocket to store an extra battery so I can go all day. All right, so let's go to the other side now. Oh, before I do that, notice that the actual Comtech transmitter is clipped onto the 15mm rod. This is a really nice stowaway package for this. However, I do find when I'm working, if I really want to keep things out of the way, I can actually clip it the other direction. So let me do that for a moment just to show you what that looks like. I like to actually turn this off and remove the antenna before I unclip it, because I don't want to put a little, too much pressure on the antenna when turning this around. And, and I should power off before I take the antenna off, because as you know, if you remove the antenna from a transmitter while it's on, basically all the power that is coming out goes back into the transmitter as a standing wave. So we'll go ahead and plug that in, and as you can see, it's nice because it kind of removes it also from the 2 whip antennas here. This is really sturdy. It's not going anywhere. I mean, if you bop it, yeah, sure, you can make it fly, but that's actually pretty nice. So we'll just leave it like that for now. So coming over here to this side of the bag, let me show you what's happening. So I've got my Betso TCX2. I love my Betso transceivers, especially when I need to leave things on camera. All I have to do is change the batteries daily, and I am set. And then a couple tails. This one is coming from X1, which would be a camera hop or another type of hop. And this reel is a tail coming from X2, and I'll talk about that in a second. And those are connected to X1 and X2 out of the 833. And then let's open this up here. And ooh, I like to feel the nice heat from it. As you can see, I'll give you a little bit of light. The Bluetooth antenna is tucked away pretty nicely here. We have a right angle timecode cable going to the Betso TCX2, which is in and out BNC. And then our X1, X2 out. And then this doodad coming out, this XLR, is our Comtech. And I did decide to get a little tidy here and basically just use some small zip ties to kind of keep things, the way that I want when working. So that's just a little something here. And then inside of here, I've got some extra cables, and let me show you what that's all about. And let's see here. So in this side pocket, I've got a couple cables stowed. And the first one, here, let me get this kind of in a space where you can see it. There we go. So one of these is just a TA5 line level to XLR female cable. So when I am sending a camera hop, usually I'm doing it with 2 milliwatts, and I usually put it here on the harness. So what that means is that all that RF energy doesn't go into my antennas in the bag, which you don't want to do that. So literally my transmitter, if I'm using digital as my camera hops these days with the duets, the DBSM is just sitting right here, which is great. And at 2 milliwatts, there is nothing coming into the front end of that bag, which is a really nice thing. So let me turn this over and go here. All right, to the overhead, and I'll put this cable back where it goes. So now's a good time if you want to ask any questions as I kind of move through this, and I'm trying to be as efficient as possible. I have been so happy with this 833. I have traveled with this on carry-on all over the U.S. I really like the bag that the K-Tech comes with, like the rainproof bag, because I was able to kind of put it inside of there. You know, I kind of removed the antennas and made things tidy and had no problems with TSA. And, you know, a couple of them wanted me to take it out of the rain bag, which is fine. I took it out and they saw, okay, whatever. And so no problems there. And it fit underneath my seat, this bag here on carry-on, very, very nicely. It's like the personal item, as they call it. And I think at one point I had to consolidate some stuff. Some TSA guy was chasing me down because I had like, I don't know, like a battery bit or something. And I just, you know, made it work, and it was not a big deal. And it's just having the phone here and being able to physically see and, you know, and go through the different, you know, channels and all the different stuff that you can do here, and look at my outputs and my buses and takes and put all that in, has been really, really convenient. And, you know, and I can always come and turn the phone. So if I need to enter in like data for next scene and so forth, or sticky notes, I can always just then put that in here. Okay, this is going to be the scene. We can call it, why don't we be more official? We'll call it 14 alpha, right? So then we come over here and turn this, and we're ready to go. So I really like, let's try not to drop this on the ground. I really like the turn feature here, and it's just been great. Plus, if I get a text or something like that, and for those of you who are doing phone patching and different workflows like that, you know, of course, you look like a rock star with your clients when you're able to interface with social media, different things like that, and set. So obviously the 833 is an incredible, powerful tool to do that. I'm trying to think what else I haven't covered on this bag. You know, I usually keep a extra battery here, and then keep the battery here. I also have a backup rig, which I showed earlier today, which is a MixPre 3 with an 822, which is like my bloop rig, in case for some reason something happens and I need another solution. And the DSR4 has, with this 833, has just been stunning, guys. I'm so happy with this. It's so lightweight. Speaking of lightweight, if you look at the specs of the 833 and the DSR4, so you got 4 channels, the 833, and batteries underneath, you're actually at right at 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds. Super, super light. However, when you add this bag, a full-size 98 watt-hour battery, the Comtech and other stuff, you're right at 9.5, 10 pounds. And I'm going to tell you right now, 10 pounds is a dream come true compared to what I used to carry a decade ago, which would be closer to 25 pounds. So if I come over here to the side pouch, I'll show you one last thing. I might have took it out of there. Oh, well, yeah, here it is right in front of me. This is the number 14, yeah. So this is what I use for my camera hop. This is a DBSM, and I typically like to go into HDM mode, which gives me 2 milliwatts. And once again, when I'm working, this thing's up here, and it's really easy to put that on a K-Tech harness. And by the way, if you are using a harness, make sure you use the one with back support. Don't be like me, stubborn in your mid-20s out there trying to boom bag everything, no back support, you know, just thinking you're invincible, because I promise you, you will pay the price later on. So yeah, so I think that covers this bag, the super efficient tour. I'm going to open it up here and see if we have any questions or comments. And let's see here, a window. We'll go into the comments. And where are you? Comments and reactions. Okay, great. Eduardo, my dude, would you be able to make the previous live video about the secondary sound public? Eduardo, that particular one is not going to go public because it was a little bit more informal, but thank you for asking. I saved a link to see it later, but it's unavailable. I'll try to do something a little bit more short form like this in the future for that particular one. Andres, thanks for saying hello. I appreciate everyone being here. So guys, that wraps up this particular tour on the back tour. The links to the to this piece, okay, the 12-inch carbon fiber, and also the these quarter 20 mounts that will mount the rod to the bag as well are also below, and also the SmallRig mount for the phone. All of those are below, and for your convenience. So, you know, I haven't seen anyone do anything like this before. So hopefully this is helpful and you can help make it your own. And then, yeah. So I think, let's see if we have any more questions before we close up. Where in your bag do you clip your transmitters? Typically my transmitters are on my Talent if I'm using them. I don't like to clip a bunch of transmitters on here. If I do need to clip them, I can use space here. I can also put them on these Molly straps. That's what that's called. I can put them there. So if I do need to stow something, but usually when I'm working, I have, you know, some sort of sidecar case or something that's kind of, you know, carrying the excess stuff, you know, when I'm working. Great question, by the way. All right. Well, thanks everyone. I think I'm going to wrap this up early. Just want to say thanks everyone. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. And I look forward to seeing everyone in the future, and we'll talk to you.
The key to a great sounding lob is 10% placement and 90% process.
Typically, I'll do a script breakdown on my iPad. Ingenuity and flexibility really are the keys here because we have the same goal, capturing the performance.
It is this process here that inspired us to create Wire Like the Pros, a masterclass for students and professionals who have the desire to excel and go beyond just the wiring technique and tools.
Let's talk about working with the actors.
So I invite you to come over now and enroll into Wire Like the Pros at mwsound.net.